Welcome back to the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of coffee Q&A here on the Onocoffee channel. How you all doing? Welcome back. I'm Jay, your host, and if you're just starting for the very first time, this is the Coffee Q&A. We do this live stream most Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern time, talking about coffee. So if you have questions about coffee, put them in the comments here if you're with us now, or if you're coming later, come down below. I read all the comments, so, I may not always read them right away, but I do read them at some point in time. How's it going? So today, you may be wondering, why are you wearing a lab coat? What's wrong with you? What kind of affectation are you putting on today? Today, I'm wearing this lab coat because a couple years ago when I was in Honolulu, actually 3.5 years ago, one of my friends back then, Mikey Delara, had a recurring role on the TV series Magnum PI. And if you ever watched the TV series Magnum PI, the new one, not the Tom Selleck one, they replaced the ME, the medical examiner, with this guy, and my friend was the guy. And so this one year that I happened to be there, I was like, you know what? I was there for Halloween, so I was like, I'm going to cosplay you, dude. So yeah, that's why I have it. But actually, I was putting this on today, and it's very billowy. Like now, it's very billowy. It's very interesting. Naomi, good morning to you. So today we're going to be talking, and part of this is because we're in a lab. We're evoking the lab setting. And here in coffee, we always talk about scales. So sometimes people talk about scales. And I thought we'd go into a little bit scales, a little bit of like scales throughout the coffee and what I've used to share with you and, to talk about that. And, you may think about things like scales I do think are important for making nice quality coffee consistently at home. Like you can make nice quality coffee without ever using a scale. But if you want to make it on a consistent basis and you want your brews to be consistently consistent, I'm not going to say they'll be consistently good because you can make them consistently bad. But the most important thing is you're making them consistent, right? That's the most important thing. So you can get things like this. This is an AWS scale that you can buy at pretty much any home store, Home Goods or Target or something. And you'll get something like this. This particular one is nice and slimline, bamboo top, really kind of nice. Naomi says, I've been looking at scales recently, so good to see this. Maybe you don't know, what kind of scale do you have right now, Naomi? And so these use the CR2032 batteries, which honestly, I get it. It's nice that they have this because it's really slimline and it keeps everything nice and slim. But what a pain in the butt to find them and go get them. I know you can buy them pretty much anywhere, but I always have AA's around the house and just so much easier to use. And I don't know, I just find these a little bit more difficult to manage, right? They're just more, and these work well. I did not replace these for this because I've had this for 15, 20 years, and I actually have it all in a big box that just, I don't even worry about it. Now, when we started Spro and started using, we really focused on, I really wanted to get a good quality scale. Like you could use this. We've used Pelus, like postal scales, in the old iterations of the shop. But finally, as we started thinking more about scales, we wanted to get something a little bit nicer, a little bit more serious, something a little bit more precise. And that's when we decided to go with this. This is scales by a company called Ohos. Ohos is a company that makes scales. They're well known for scales. I have quite a few of these. These are the CL2000. So the CL series, you can say CL series. Now this one doesn't work because basically, as you can see here in this note on the bottom, in November 30th of 2016, we figured out that this scale counts down. So it was used so heavily through its lifetime that it just gets wonky. Like in a cafe environment, it gets spills, it gets banged, it gets dropped, they're always kept in a drawer, so they're always put in the drawer. So they get a rough life. They get a rough life, and but these are great little scales. Back in the 2010s, these were like $45. So these were really great. $45, lab quality, precision. And these are like, I have one that's working. Where did I put the one that's working? That's not the one that's working. Where did Somewhere here is a CL2000 that is working. Some days you just, it is. It's a little bit of ways. Okay, here we are. Okay, here we are. This is it. This is the one I was testing this earlier today. So this one has, this is also still pretty worn. Like you can see in the back here, it's got, it's all just kind of worn a little bit. 2014 build, revision 3, one of the newer ones then. So this is a 2012 build, revision 3 as well. So this is an older one, right? You can tell, like, so what they did, they had a refresh with their design, right? So this is how it started, and this is how it more recent. I don't know if that's what they look like today, but the CL series is really nice if you're thinking about a nice quality scale that that you can use, because it's nice quality, reasonably priced. And if you're like us and you need to have multiples, see these little ridges here? They'll stack, right? They will stack like this. And they will, if you do it too hard, they will fall up. But you can see they don't really fall out because they've got this stacking. And when they're loaded with batteries, it is dramatically heavier with 3 AA batteries. And they go in here like this, right? And then if you want to transport it, they do have a lock for this, so it protects the mechanism. Once we receive, we unlock it and never really do anything with it. But these are great. And so what the 2000 means, so there's CL series, and then I call this the CL 2000, right? The CL 2000. 2000 is typically, whenever they have a number, typically with a lot of scale manufacturers, that means the maximum weight of that scale. So like if this is a CL 2000, it means it can go up to 2,000 grams or 2 kilos. And here's something you want. You want to get a scale that has a good range of capacity. Resolution, I don't think is very important. Capacity is more important, right? Because like, here's an example. I bought this scale, very nice scale from a company called AND. This is their Ninja series. And it's really a really nice scale. Like I really like it, but here's my problem. When I bought it, I really wasn't thinking too much about it. I was like, oh yeah, HL 200i, that's great. 200 grams, which you're thinking, oh yeah, that's plenty. But once you start to do things like, oh, I need to weigh my coffee for cupping, so I'm gonna take my coffee cup, my cupping cup, and I'm gonna tear it on here, and suddenly you're pretty much at 200 grams. And now your resolution is, and now you have no capacity, and it's like, oh man, womp womp. But this is actually a pretty nice scale. We'll open it up a little bit and see. We can stack these. That's the nice thing. We can stack these OHOSs out of the way. I have a Varia from a few years ago. Okay. And also a Tally Pro for use of provers. Honestly, Naomi, I would say, since you have the Tally Pro, I would not buy anything, and don't buy anything else. Don't buy the Tally Pro. Honestly, the Tally Pro is perfectly serviceable and a perfectly fine, which I'm giving away the whole show already, but it's perfectly fine. Don't buy it. These are great, but I bought these in an era when we didn't have things like the newfangled stuff today, because we would then use little timers. We'd have timers, like beep, so you'd have to sit there, tear everything out, put everything in, and then start your pour, beep. And then we'd have timers. We had these little, after all, every time I went to Japan, I would buy different timers. So we would have little bear timers and elephant timers, pink rabbit timers, just anything to make it kind of fun and whimsical. But anyway, going back to this, we've got this scale here. This is the HL 2000, and this is this scale is now much nicer than the OHOS, right? This is a nicer scale. Like when you look at it, nicer design, but you feel it. It's heavier, better tactile feel all over the whole thing. The little tray comes off here. It does have this thing to protect it, so I'm not going to take that off because I'm not worried about it. The problem is with this one though, it's 200 grams. So 200 grams is very limiting in my environment. If you're measuring small items or minute items or lesser quantities of items, not a big deal. But when you're trying to do coffee, that does not work out well. So it's like, so I really haven't used this one much at all because of the weight limitation. Okay, let's put this back away first, and then we will get back to it. The key is to make sure you put these things away so that you don't lose them and don't damage them, which I can be prone to doing. Now, another thing you could get is like a small compact scale. Like this one I got. This is also by AWS, same company that makes the bamboo one. And this is a little compact scale. Actually, I like this one. I use this for a lot of different purposes, and I can use this for traveling. And the nice thing is it has such good range that I can use it for brewing. So, and it's got this little cover here. You can use this cover. There's another cover, and you can use these as sample holders, right? And the nice thing about this is you can see this is the SC2kg, which means 2,000 gram resolution or 2,000 gram capacity and 1/10 of a gram resolution, right? And so that's something that's nice. And these are nice and compact. I got this. What kind of battery do these use? Oh yeah, AAA batteries. And you just kind of like, these are really, actually, I like this one a lot. I use this. I have taken this on journeys with me, and you just kind of turn it on. Little lit LCD screen, right? So liquid crystal display, and then you can put this on here. You can tear out stuff. And because it's 2,000 grams, I can brew with it. I can put a whole like setup with, let's say, the cup, this, and we're only 430 grams. So if we're going to add like another 50 grams, let's say with the filter, it's not 50 grams, but we're going to use 24 grams, and so now 435 plus 24, so now we're at 459. We still have, we're at 350 grams. We're still under a kilo total weight on this, and this super tiny and compact. So it turned out I really liked this scale in the long term. My girlfriend, back at the time that I got this, she was always like, "You really like that scale, don't you?" I was like, "I kind of like it. I kind of like it." So, yeah, that could be something for you. Oh, why is it not turning off now? Okay, there we go. All right, now, and of course, then while we had these OHA CL2000s, eventually these started to creep up in price. And I was like, man, we need more budget-friendly solutions. I really like to stay around the $50 price point because, we do end up going through these fairly fast throughout the year. Like we don't replace them all the time. This one needs to be, it looks like this, I did some servicing on because all the base screws are gone. All kinds of stuff happens here. And then I got this one. This is actually what I use in my house today. I keep this actually in the kitchen, and I use this really for coffee, but we started playing around with these atoms. This is the Atom CB3000, and this is really nice because for a similar price, the Atom gives you greater capacity, 3,000 grams with 1 gram resolution. And, same kind of mode. And then there's a couple of nice features here. Like it has this leveling dot, so you can level it. It has leveling feet. You can see I just replaced the battery. And you can, so if you're on uneven terrain, right now it's even, but let's say you're on uneven terrain, and it's, oh God, that's really have to be off. You can adjust the feet to match. But of course, if you're working on a countertop, your countertops are going to be flat because that's how they're manufactured. So that's never been an issue. It's not like I really needed that over this, which doesn't have the feet. But this is also nice because the plate will come off, and it just makes for a little bit different type of cleaning, where this one, it's really difficult to clean under the plate, right? There's no removable plate, and it's really a narrow space, thin space that you really can't get into very easily, where this one is a lot higher. So if you wanted to get a towel in there, you could. Right? And so, of course, we've got the Tally Pro, right? Tally Pro, right? And we've used this many times, and I've been using this, what, for the past year and a half, year or so? I don't know, 6 months? I don't know, however long I've been using it. And I gotta say, overall, it's a little bit, to me, it's a little bit cantankerous that you have to do things in a very specific way in order to get it to work in the way that you want it. Like if you don't tear it out before you add the coffee, then you have to take the coffee back out, tear it out, put it back in, and then you have to hit the button to set it up to start timing once you pour. To me, that's a little bit like a lot of work, but it does make it nice because everything is compact. Let's see what people are saying here. Espresso on Bikes, what's going on, man? How are you, man? Sprofest. Man, that's clever. I like that. Power Plant says the Varia Aku Pro is great, as is the newest book. I have to do. I have to go grab my phone because I will look these up. Because I'm not familiar with a lot of these models. And I have to find the phone. Oh, there it is. Did you guys know that you could actually call out to your phone, right? Like, hey Siri, where are you? And now it's not going to answer me. Okay, never mind. And so many times I'm finding myself walking around my domicile, calling out for Siri. Hey Siri, where are you? Show yourself. Reveal yourself to me. And it does. All right, so what is that? Varia Aku Pro. Oh, here's something I ended up going to the Food Market Coffee yesterday to drop off some coffee to them for the week. And they had a little bit of an issue with their X54. The little rest for the portafilter came off, and I was like, man, I don't really even know how to fix that. Like, it turns out there's a button that you press and you pull the whole plate out, and then you can reattach the holder. And so I called up Malkonig USA, and I was like, hey man, what's going on with the X54? How do I fix it? He's like, I don't know. We haven't used those in a while. He's like, we don't even import them anymore. I was like, what? So I didn't know this, but the X54 evidently is not being imported because the price with the tariffs has made it so expensive that it's not worth it for them to import. And I was like, huh, interesting. So if you're looking for a grinder, and if you want the X54 specifically, and you can still find it somewhere, you should buy it right away. Because I'm not sure how long. Oh, there it is. Varia Aku scale, $100. Not bad. Not a bad price. Oh, very, 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 very looking like a lot of others. The Luna, Time War has one that looks like this. I've seen this style of scale quite a few times. But nice, I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's fun. Nowadays, in modern times, for coffee brewing, it's really fun. And honestly, here's the thing. So what I wanted to share with you today is that this past weekend, there was there's a place called Architectural Rescue here in Baltimore. And once a month, they open up their warehouse for a public sale. And so whatever the guy has collected over the last month from Architectural Rescuing, it's available. And you can always find something weird and interesting there. Like I found big vernier calipers the last time I went in December, and he's got all kinds of great stuff. But this time, and the last time I was there, he had some lab equipment. I was like, I'm not going to buy that. But today, this weekend, I was like, okay, I'm going to buy that. And so I was like, look at that scale. So I got this. So you can see this here. This is the Mettler. Let me turn this around. Whoop, wrong way. This is the Mettler Toledo PM1200 scale. And as you can see, it's quite a different scale than, let's say, this Tally Pro or even our OHOS, right? First of all, it's kind of massive. Like, look at this thing. This thing is big. It's big. It's huge. It's huge. And you know what? In the world of scales, this is not even very big. This is actually kind of small, and it's kind of heavy. And so you can see here the size comparison. Right? Now, Why is it so big? And you might be wondering, why is it housed in glass? And that's because these are what's called balances. And these are called analytical balances designed for laboratory use. This particular one came out of the DuPont labs where they did God knows what with it. Like, who knows what DuPont is doing with their lab work. And, oh, look at that. That's very interesting. Huh. So before we started, I wanted to clean it up a little bit. So I used some, detergent and warm water and cleaned it up and, put it back, dried it out, put it back together. But look at this. I don't know if you can see this, but you can see through the glass in the housing, there's condensation down there, right? Look at that. If I open this up, that's actually condensation there. Oh, my gosh. Wow, that is surprisingly sealing. Now, why do you have these kind of housings on a scale, right? Well, first of all, this is not what they consider a scale. This is what's considered a balance. And the difference is that with a scale, when you place an object on the scale, you're measuring the weight of the scale as referenced by the pull of gravity on this object, right? So how much gravity is pulling on it will determine the weight of it. Now, evidently, depending where you are on the planet, this weight may actually be slightly different. And I don't mean like, you're going to go from like 175 to 160, right? I think we're talking like hundredths of grams difference, right? But when you're serious about your analytical weighing, this becomes a big issue. That would be a big issue. So what these are what balances are, is that they are measuring the mass of an object regardless, irrespective of the pull of gravity on it. How they do that, I'm not sure, but it's why these things are much more precise than these things, or maybe especially these things, right? But they are quite interesting, but quite expensive. Like, for example, well, I don't know how much this one cost at the time. This particular PM1200, it actually comes from the 1980s era. So this was discontinued by Mettler back in 1996. So it hasn't been out for a while. But if you can find these out in the used marketplace for probably about $700 to $1,000, down as $400 if you're lucky. I was very, very lucky in that this architectural rescue was like, all scales are $50. $50? I was like, $50? That's crazy. I'm going to buy that scale. I should have bought the other ones. They had these bigger analytical scales, but I was like, what am I going to do with that, right? Now, here's the thing. What makes something like this so nice, right, or so much more desirable, right, is the resolution. This will resolve. So we talk about this, right? Or we talk about this one. This has a resolution of 1 gram. So just gram. There's 0, right? 0. That's it. That's all it's going to show us. Let me just plug this other one in so that we can. Now, the other thing, the other thing about this PM1200, this lab scale, is that it is corded. You have to plug this sucker in. It's not meant for portable use. I mean, they may have portable ones today. I don't know. Where's the plug? Where's the plug? Where's the plug? Looking for the plug. It'd be easier if I just looked at it, right? If I just kind of looked around, it would be a lot faster. And yeah, it'd be upside down. All right, so now this one has a resolution of 1/10 of a gram, right? Which is great. If we turn this on, just takes a few moments to calibrate and get itself. You can see here 0.000, so 10th, hundredths, thousandths of a gram. This will go down to thousandths of a gram, which is incredible resolution for coffee use, right? Now, evidently, modern versions of these scales, not just 10th of a gram, not just hundredth of a gram, thousandth of a gram, 10,000th of a gram, but 100,000ths of a gram. And that's why you need these housings for these type of balances, right? Because when you're resolving down to these very, very fine resolutions, like this 1,000th of a gram, which is like, imagine you take a little gram and you're dividing it by 1,000 pieces. That's really, really small. So the reason that you have a housing on these type of balances is because any kind of environmental condition can impact the weight or can impact the mass being measured on this plate, right? There's this plate here. So anything, air currents can change it. Any kind of particulates that may be floating in the air that may land on this plate or on the object itself will change at a thousandth of a gram. That's, that could very well change, especially when you get to the finer resolution. So there's a lot of reasons why they have this, right? But the nice thing about this particular one, 1,200, is that it's 1,200 grams. So while it's probably very impractical to use for coffee, you can use it for coffee, right? You can. It'll go up to 1,200 grams. We can brew coffee in this thing with extreme confidence in the quality or in the precision of the brew. And actually, we should try that. I was actually thinking we're going to make espresso today. But then now that I'm thinking about it, I think we should brew with it. So now I have to catch up with the heat. Naomi says, I want a small one for my espresso, not super necessary, but my Varia is a bit bulky. Okay. I mean, what might work well? This little tiny one from AWS. There's different versions of this. Like I got this like back in 2011. So I'm sure there's more updated versions, and you probably should not be moving around like this. But let's say this small AWS. Let's give it a try here. So if I turn this on, I think that even something this small, as long as you're balancing it correctly, that's a little bit harder because this portafilter is sitting there. But let's say if I put this here, that'll take the weight. Okay, so that'll give us the ability to tare it. So you can get something this, if you really want something really small, and if you get a small one like this, maybe it comes with this kind of plate that you can tear it out, and then now we can fill this up to do our thing, right? So that is a possibility for a small one, like not necessarily this one, but something this kind of size might be the way for you to go. Powerplant says, Varia made the Akubini last year, which is great, has a lot of great features. Pro model has a color screen and is a bit bigger. Ooh, that sounds cool. One important feature is that you need to be able to recalibrate your scale. Okay, where'd it go? Every once in a while it jumps around. I like the subliminal cup scale, but it doesn't seem to be recalibrated. Oh. I don't know. I mean, like for me personally, I don't really worry about it. Like if we're talking a gram, 2 grams off, is that really going to be that critical? Now, something like this, you can totally recalibrate. Actually, this one has a recalibration date of 2021. So like if you're in a lab environment, they will have these calibrated on a regular basis, I think yearly. So this has been out of service probably for a year or two. But I mean, for our purposes, I'm not going to be measuring. Well, I mean, we will be measuring down to it. So now you can also get like Powerplant's mentioned about these weights. They do sell these weights that you can buy that are precision weights. The more precise the weight that you want to measure, like meaning that I had one, I found mine recently and I brought it somewhere here. Now I don't know where I put it, but there's a calibration weight that you can use and it just looks like a typical weight, but the more money you spend on that calibration weight, the more precise it will be, right? How precise do you need? Probably not at all. Like, I don't know how important that is, to be honest with you. Like we use it just to see like, are these scales, and specifically these scales, are these scales If we put 100-gram weight on it, does it say 100 grams? If it says 100 grams, perfect. Honestly, I don't know, like this whole like 1/10 of a gram, honestly, I think is dumb. Like, I think what does this really bring to, like, yeah, I know you guys want precision and you want, oh, I want precision, but how much precision does anyone really need? Right? Like, what does it tell me to have 1/10 of a gram of coffee more? 5/10 of a gram. I tend to think that the utility of that is more limited, especially for those of you who may be new to the field of making coffee at home, who are already overwhelmed by what's going on there. I think that this just makes it much more complicated than it needs to be. Get to the round numbers. That's all you need, I think. All right, let's make coffee now. Let's make coffee with our, okay, I'm gonna turn this up. What I need to do is I need to reset some things. Like, I was thinking espresso, so I'm not quite set up for espresso today. I mean, for brewing regular today. So now I need to grab everything. Let's bring our Tally Pro, or not Tally Pro, whatever, Gen 2. And I'm going to replug, I'm going to replug it in. Okay. So we've got our scale, and we're going to weigh it. And oh, it turns off after a while. Okay. We're going to use our cup. We're going to zero that out. Tally that out. Can you see that well enough? Now we're going to add our coffee. Oh, see, look at that. 0.002 thousand, so 2/1000 of a gram off. Am I going to re-tear for this? See, I'm going to tear that out. Why did that change? Who knows? We moved the airflow change, right? So let's put this in here. This is what you have at your coffee shop. You know, like, let's say you're doing a tasting menu kind of experience, and this is what you use for that kind of thing, because you're like, oh, let us make it. Okay, so we have 24.685472. See, now here's something for us. I'm going to blow on it. Oh, look at that. All right, see, so 24. We're just going to pay for attention to the 24, maybe the 0.6. That's fine. We're not going to get crazy about it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our brewing apparatus. We're going to set it all up. The water is boiling. Oh, we gotta grind it. I gotta grind it. Hold on a second. I gotta grind it. We're gonna use the same settings yesterday, which I think will be fine. All right, there's our grind. Right there it is, ground. Put this. Whoop. Put that in there. Coffee Cove's with us. What's going on, Coffee Cove? How are you, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. And Andrew's with us too. Goodness, I know I'm falling behind. Coffee Cove says, I need to make a correction. Last week I said Meticulous came with 1-year warranty. Found out with my Met papers, the warranty is 2 years. Oh, okay, good to know. Good to know. Anton's with us. Good morning to you, Anton, or good afternoon to you. Powerplant says Nemeti should be offering at least a 2-year warranty. I agree. I mean, Festool offers a 3-year warranty, so Meticulous should offer at least a 2-year warranty. Now he says the Aku Pro looks to be around the same size as the regular Varia. I'm looking for smaller or even maybe thinner if possible. Coffee Hoof says, I thought I read it was 1 year, but I found out while checking on it as yesterday I had some issues with it. One I resolved, but not the other. Oh, what was the other one? What was the one you resolved? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to open this up. Now we're going to do something that you probably shouldn't do, is brew with the housing open, because now we're going to be susceptible to environmental things and anything that could fall into it. So here's our resolution. This too bad this is not backlit. This is from an Air for backlighting. Did that help? Well, that helps. I'm going to put that over here. That's better. I think that's better, right? That's probably okay. So let's tear out. Okay, good. Now I'm going to take our kettle. Whoa, 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 whoa. And get our timer ready. Probably should have done that beforehand. Okay, timer's ready, and now we will brew. Oops, wrong switch. Here we go. Old school. And actually, I cannot see from my vantage point. Notice how we have lost. Oh, there it is. So as it's calculating, it actually reduces the resolution. Not resolution, but it reduces the amount that it's able to resolve. That was a lot of coffee in one pour, but that's all right. Actually, if I just turn this, I can see it. Powerplant says also the Buku Ultra scale is also nice. If you want ultra small, the original Buku is tiny. Oh, nice. Anton says Acaia is for the snow. Acaia may be for the snobs. That's why the true serious coffee people buy Mettler, right? Mettler. If you're not dealing with thousands of a gram resolution, I don't even know why you're bothering. Like, don't waste our time here, right? Don't waste our time. I totally hear you on that. And but I gotta say, the Acaias are all right. They're nice. I mean, they're all nice enough scales. They have nice features. They're all kind of fancy looking. Anton says, I backed the Buku Thermos Ultra and I love the scale. Oh, nice. The Bluetooth function works perfectly with the Maro. Oh, so they integrate together. I gotta say that's a nice, that can be a nice feature when instruments integrate with the tools. Anton says, well, if you have 9.9 grams of retention in your single dose grinder, that kind of sucks. I get it. I mean, I tend not to worry too much about that. It says a piece of lint came off your lab coat. I know exactly, that's the problem. Oh, but now you're at 100,000's worth. I can't read. It doesn't resolve that. It doesn't resolve that. Where are we? 240 grams, 2 minutes, 40 seconds. Oh, we're doing all right with time. Now, I wouldn't, okay, now, so I would not recommend to you to go out and buy one of these new, like the new ones. Say, let's say, for example, the new ones, Mettlers in this 1200 range are like $8,000 to $9,000. And they're kind of awesome. Like I was looking at them yesterday and I was like, oh, look at that. They've got like screens and like beautiful, they're beautiful. They're great. And they've got bigger housings. And then there's other ones that resolve down to, like I said, 100,000ths of a gram. And you're like, whoa, I think those are like $30,000 for a scale, for a balance. Oh, running out of time. even with a heavy beginning pour, we're still kind of slow. 353, 58, 358.265, 64, 63, 62, 61. Oh, so if I was to do this, right? Like, so let's say if I was to blow across this, let's see what happens to our scale. Oh, look at that. like I could do that to this, right? Like if I could take this scale, right, and I can blow on it. Although of course I'm going to have problems with. All right, let's put it down here. If I blow on this, oh, it does. Look, it does move. Oh, interesting. Will this blow as well? Oh, it does. Look at that. It jumped one. And now it's stuck. It's broken. A little bit. All right. Things that are inconclusive in life. All right, that's done. 4 minutes, 30 seconds or something like that. There it is. Our brew is done here. Right. On the Mettler PM1200. Now that's kind of a nice. Oh, I shouldn't have dumped that out. I should have taken a photo before I did this. Anyway, let's get our coffee out. It's very labby. We are drinking the barred Kateri AA Kenya. It's kind of what I had at hand at the moment, but I was like, oh, let's try that. Oh, good. Coffee Cove says, when I pushed the button to brew it, it would not do anything, period. Oh, no. Started playing with it, pushed the skip this step feature. There's a pre-infusion step first. Okay, then push the brew button, and it worked. Ah. Jose's with us. You need a better timer. Yeah, you probably. There's always a critic. There's always a critic. The one that is used in the Olympics that goes down to 1/1,000th of a second. Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice. I'd be all like, I'm ready for timing. I'm ready for. Right? I like that. How much are those, Jose? How much? Do you know how much of those are? Coffee Cove says, I had that issue with 5 shots, wound up doing factory reset, and works like it should. Oh. It always goes, and Power Plant says it always goes back to turning it off and on again. No doubt. Like I had an issue with my 3D printer a couple of days ago, and I was like, just turn it off, turn it back on. Didn't change it. Turn it off for like half an hour, turn it back on, everything reset. Perfectly good. Anton says, I'm still waiting for the AAA Kenya. Oh, where did you say that was coming from again? I don't recall. Jose says, all that calibration, but poured by. I know, it's always good. That way you know when you've poured 100,000, 10,000. When you poured 1/10,000 too much. Like I poured, 5 10,000s too much water into my coffee. And so therefore, it sucks. It's terrible. It's completely off. It destroys the entire range of the flavors. Like I don't know why we try. Like we're just a little bit off. which leads me to the thing. Like I've got this. I want to share this with you today because I think it's a little bit. Well, I think it's ultra cool. Like I've been wanting one of these for quite a long time, but they're hard. They're not so easy to find used, and they're never easy to find at ridiculous prices. Like this is $50 for this was like too good to pass up. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta have that, right? So I bought it, and it's cool. Practically speaking, it's utterly ridiculous. Like for what we do, right? For making coffee, I can see it in an application. Like when we open our new location, we have like tastings for people. We can use this to give it some theater, some show, some excitement to it. But other than that, it's really kind of limited in usefulness for coffee making. And I do think that, like I know some of you are interested in this kind of resolution, this 1/10 of a gram resolution. Don't go beyond that. Like, honestly, I think that people make themselves crazy even over the 1/10 of a gram because, it's like now you're worried about like, oh, I'm 0.2 over, I'm 0.3 over. It's not going to make that much difference. 0.1 over, maybe, 1 gram over, sure. Maybe you can make the reasoning that there is, if you're at 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, you could make the reasoning that that's too much, but I don't know if most people will ever taste that difference, right? Like working in a professional environment, we would use these scales, which are full gram resolution. They don't have any 1/10 of a gram, and I think they're perfectly great, perfectly serviceable. I don't know. I wonder, like, if you're chasing things, if you're just chasing things and making it more difficult than it necessarily needs to be. But of course, to each their own. If you get the pleasure out of chasing that, I certainly think it's a worthwhile endeavor. Did anyone see Lance's coffee bar setup vid? I have not seen that. He mentioned something interesting about espresso. In due time, we'll have to come for a circle, and we'll be back to mounding coffee and tamping. Is that what he was doing? Was doing it the old school way? Does he even know how to do the old school way? Like, and I don't mean that as a dig. I mean, like, there are certain baristas, a certain generation of baristas that have worked in the field that may have never had to do what we did back in the old days. And if they didn't work for some like old zealot like myself, they may never have learned or had to use that, right? Like if you're using all pre-dosing scales and everything, then like the baristas that I train today using dosing scales and stuff like that, we're teaching them a lot of the traditional methodologies, right? Like some of the techniques, but they're not being trained to the level that we trained in years past because they don't necessarily need to have that to be deployed in the field, right? So that's what I'm curious. I'm curious to know. I wonder what he put out there. So he put out a whole bunch of he showed his coffee. What does he have in his coffee bar setup? That's curious. Coffee Code's the other issue that's unresolved can only get profiles that came with the machine, not the ones in the community. Oh, hopefully that'll be easy to. Oh, I was just making a joke about the A grade. I had lots of nice Kenyas though. I had one from Ordinary in Frankfurt and had some notes of champagne. Ooh, very nice, very nice. Power Plant says they are probably swamped with complaints right now. Oh, that could be. And like I said before, you guys are the beta testers. Yes, I'm going to give them time, but they're good about responding back. That's good. Jose says, I still can't get over the fact that the blind shaker produces the highest extraction. Oh, I'm going to have to look at that. Blind shaker. What is blind shaking? Blind shaker, highest extraction. But I guess the question is, if you're using blind shaker, well, blind shaker. Here we go. So I volunteered as a judge doing international competitions for many, many years, doing barista championships and things like that. And I was the head judge for a long time. And so that meant that I tasted every drink on the table, many of which were produced by baristas who were very high caliber, using the most advanced techniques possible, using things like this blind shaker to get that high extraction. Very few of those shots of espresso and drinks are memorable today. So I think that while it's a good idea and it's nice because you get this shaky thing and you just, and it, distributes it out. It's not the greatest. I mean, it may get high extraction out of it. Does it taste good? Like, and I'm sure all of these espresso, they tasted fine, right? So in judging, you give scores of 0 to 6. 6 being what we call extraordinary, 5 being excellent, 4 being very good, 3 good, 2 average, 1 acceptable, right? That's the range. So when you actually looked at competitors' scores for their drinks, very rarely did you see 5s and above. Most were 4s, most were 4.5, somewhere in that range, 3s. So I know that a lot of people like to talk about these high extraction things and these tools. This is why I'm very tepid on a lot of the tools that are out there, because I don't think that they necessarily will give you better results than you working on your own techniques, right? They may be shortcuts to getting the coffee into the portafilter, but I don't necessarily think that they're really going to make your espresso that much better. Now, if you've tasted and you feel like it tastes better, I can't argue with that. That's not my point. Is that I don't think you need that. Like I remember, and I've said this before, and you can see the video of me drinking this on the channel. I went to a place called 11 Coffee Roasters in Bangkok, Thailand, a couple of years back, and had one of the best espressos I've ever had in my entire career. Better than any of the ones in the competition, better than most of the ones I've had in the field. I mean, truly, at the time, it was the very best espresso I'd ever had. Of course, made by, well, not of course, but just so happened made by a buddy of mine, Don Chen, who was the barista champion of Hong Kong. And he opened a shop in Bangkok because his partner lives there. And so they got together and they opened a place. And I just happened to walk in. I didn't know it was his place. And I walked in and I had this, and he said, I'm going to make you this shot. So he made me a shot of espresso by hand, without all those tools, and on a Flair 58. And it was the best shot I've ever, one of the best shots I've ever had. At the time, the very best shot I've ever had. So I always want to encourage you not to get wrapped up too much in the tech, in the tools, because the tools are great, right? They can be very helpful, but they don't guarantee results, right? You can still, like, it's just like in my hobby of woodworking, we have great tools. Let's say, like those of you who are familiar, Festool is a really high-end quality brand. Just because you have a whole closet of Festool does not mean you're going to be making nice quality work. It still takes the time and effort to make that work, right? So that's a thought. That's just my thought. Coffee Cove says, I use the blind shaker and like it. Awesome. I mean, I've used it, like my friend Greg Skase has one at his house. And I've used it there when we're making coffee. It's kind of fun. I enjoy it. You put it on top and you do the thing, right? It's cool. Mom is with us. Good morning, Mom. How are you doing? Coffee Cove says, I don't WDT using that. Also, you don't use that for the distribution. Gotcha. Anton says, I also like the shaker. It just gives nice results and it also tastes good. It also totally makes sense if you think about it. But here's my question. Are you saying that if you were to, by using the Weber shaker, you get better results than if you didn't? Just do it yourself? I'm just curious. Power Plant says, yeah, no raking and no spray. I also skip the WDT, says Anton. I use my WDT for filter brews now. Wet WDT. Oh, so you're wetting it after you pour, you're raking it. Is that right? Anton says, for anyone wondering, the coffees Jay had at 11 or that I had at 11 were freshly roasted Typica Mejorada from Pepe Hijón and a Liberica from Indonesia. Yes. I'm glad you remember that because I don't. I don't remember what it was, but I do remember that it was great. And it was freshly roasted. He was like, and this is where, like, in making the videos for the channel can be a little bit difficult, because what I prefer, and I think a lot of the other ones kind of capture this, I would like to make a video that captures the essence of what it's like to be a regular person walking into the cafe and having a coffee there. Like, I think the one that I went to, Kaizen, is like that. The one that was closed on like Tuesday, the other place, what's it called? Anyway, sometimes I feel, a lot of the other ones, since I don't know anyone, they don't know who I am, which is great. I prefer to go to places that they don't know who I am. Not that I'm anyway, but when I walked into Juan, of course, it's Dawn. So he's like, oh my God, what are you doing here? I was like, oh my God, what are you doing here? So someone that I have a relationship with, someone that I've known. And so when you go to places like that, you always get a little bit different of an experience. Like, he was like, I want you to try this particular coffee and let me roast it for you at the moment. So he roasted it on what's the little air thing from Japan? Ikawa. He roasted on Ikawa. And he was like, I'll be back. So where are you going, dude? I said, I don't need, I'll take whatever coffee you have. Like, I'm not difficult about things like that. He's like, I'll be right back. And he went out, he roasted his coffee. I'm sitting him talking to one of his people there. I was like, hey, how's it? He roasted this great coffee and he made it, and fresh. So roasted, ground, and then brewed immediately. Fabulous. It was fabulous. It was truly one of the best coffee I'd had at that time. The press espresso that I'd had up to that point. Anton says, I get better results. Okay, very good. Correct, raking after the bloom. Oh, okay, so you bloom it at the rake. Brings out some vibrancy. Cool. Jose says that I would say the difference is marginal. The more important piece is your grinder, your beans the most. I agree. Like, that to me is always what I do. Try to encourage people is that to buy quality beans. And like, I know a lot of you, like Anton's talking about these things, like that he noticed. And if you're buying high quality beans, you're going to start and you start to do these other techniques, then you're going to start to notice the difference. I think that's but I think that you really have to be a little bit more advanced in your journey to really make those kind of expenses not justifiable, but just to get the most out of them, right? To get the most out of them, you'll have more experience, and you're also like setting yourself up for positive results. Coffee Cove says, I can't say for lack of experience with both the WDT and the shaker, being a rookie in espresso. That's right, everybody was a rookie in espresso at some point. Beans is greater than water and is equivalent or greater to the grinder. Oh, and Ikawa is British. And why do they call it Ikawa? Is it this whole thing where like some people like want to be Japanese sounding? It's interesting. I was listening to, in woodworking, there is a guy who is kind of recognized in the Western woodworking world, or at least in the United States woodworking world, as kind of an expert on Japanese hand tools, hand planes, hand chisels, things like that. And his name is Wilbur Pan. And Wilbur, when I was listening to a couple of interviews with him, and he's always like, I'm Chinese. He's like, I'm Chinese. I'm not Japanese. I just like this, right? And I was like, that's interesting. And I was kind of laughing because I was like, yeah, I'm Filipino and I'm certainly not Japanese. I get it. But he was like, he said he had this interesting thought where, a lot of people like in the woodworking world, then they talk about Japanese tools and hand planes and chisels. They always want to talk about the zen of the Japanese woodworking and the whole woodworking experience, where Wilbur's kind of like, well, it's kind of weird for me, like the idea of the zen, the whole philosophy about it, to explore that. And he said, probably because since he's Chinese, he's like, since I'm Asian, I kind of grew up with that. So it's not a big deal to me. But it seems like he's like, he finds that when people come from outside, they tend to take it really, really deep and like really experience in a very deeper way than someone like himself, or even in my case, even for myself, might experience it, right? So it's kind of like, Interesting. So that's why when you say that Ikawa is English, it makes me think, why would you call yourself Ikawa? I don't know. Kind of funny. But I get it. Anton says, I got talked into mixing my own water now, and I love how big an improvement I got still. Oh, water. Yeah, definitely can be a huge factor. The water I used before was already great too. So what is did you get are you actually mixing your own minerals together to make your own formulation, or are you using some of those like third wave waters or some kind of prepared water mix? Anton says, recently tried Datura coffee roaster from Paris. Oh, I won't be able to go back. Oh, they're that good, huh? All right, very good. You know, it's interesting. I have not been to Paris in such a long time. Like I used to go to Paris quite often before like 2010, 2011, and I haven't been back since. I just haven't had the time. And it's so interesting to see like reports from Paris. And one of my good friends, Michael, he's always like, dude, when you're ready to come back to Paris, come, you can stay at the house, we have plenty of space. I was like, I need to go, but maybe I just don't like Terminal 1 at Charles de Gaulle. That's probably it. That's probably the whole thing. But when I was last there, the Parisian coffee scene was completely different. Like all the new breweries that are there now didn't exist. The only place that was there that was specialty coffee was the woman that used to be the ambassador from Guatemala. She had that place, Solunas de Café, I think what it's called, right along the Seine along the Marais. And I used to go there when I was there in those days. And I loved it. Really lovely place, really nice woman. But to see like reports now, it's like, wow, Paris is so interesting to check out. Ikawa is some Burundi language. Oh, Burundi. Jose says, where I live has water. Other than regular descaling, it's just way too expensive and laborious to use kits or make my own water. So I guess I have to live with it. You know, that's interesting. You know, in the coffee world, we talk a lot about water and the ideal water for brewing coffee. One of the things I've been fascinated about, and one of the reasons why I'm really curious about the meticulous and have thought, well, it would be nice to have one, is that I would like, and I've thought about this in the past, but I'm curious to know more about the water thing, meaning that I hear, you talk to different people in different parts of the world, and they're always like, it's the water, right? Like say you talk about New York pizza. Why is New York pizza so good? It's the water. Why are the bagels so good? It's the water, right? So the water has something to do with it, of course. And coffee, it's generally accepted that if you have hard water, the coffee is going to taste terrible. But does it? Does it taste terrible? It's a different expression. So I've been curious, like, what I would like to do at some point is actually gather waters from different parts of the world, or different parts of America at least. And I will sometimes buy a bottle of water. Like, actually, I have a whole bunch of water here that I still haven't done anything with from my travels from Belgium, Germany, all these other places. And the water tastes different wherever you go. But I wonder, like, I think it would be an interesting journey to have the same coffee brewed with different waters, just to see how it impacts it. And I also wonder, like, if you're in a city and you're brewing a coffee. So let's say you buy coffee from a roaster. Let's say you buy coffee from John Piquet at Café de Bola. If you buy his coffee and I don't know, I can't remember what kind of water system he's using at the moment, but do I want my coffee to taste exactly everywhere? I don't know. I'm always thinking about this, but like my thought really is that I think that there'd be something very interesting to explore coffee using the locality of the water. I think that'd be interesting. I think to me, that's an interesting thing. Maybe we should explore that more in the coming year. Anton says, yes, I mix my own minerals now. Got a cheap milligram scale for this. Oh, nice, nice, awesome. You could use something like this too, right? And Coffee Coach says, boy, had a bit much espresso, getting the jitters. See, you got to slow down with that meticulous, right? Slow down. Don't go crazy. Don't go crazy. Anton says, somehow France has the best roasters in the world, and they all have astronomical shipping costs. Oh, even in the EU? I'm surprised. You know, these are probably just kind of like, they just hate on you guys. They hate on everybody. You know French, they hate on everybody. They're like, no, 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 no. You will pay extra. Be like, can you include some of the baguette, please? Send me a baguette with it. Anton says, actually making my own water is the cheapest option for me. It's still just cheaper than anything else. I got 1 kilogram of espresso of Epsom salt and natron each plus the scale for 40 euros. Oh, nice. We'll be able to use this stuff for a lifetime. Yeah, when you buy, like I remember when we were manufacturing chips, we would buy xanthan gum and citric acid by the box, which is like a 50-pound box, like that lasts forever. Jose says skincare too. Oh no, don't recall. And by far the cheapest option. Oh, skincare. Oh, gotcha. Just don't get the Lotus Apex because that's expensive. Oh, is that more water? Power Plant says in New York City is more about competition and needing to be better to survive. I believe that Anton says Coffee Cove. There is a French cafe in my town. I got a latte and it was the best. Nice flavor from the bean and milk, nicely done. They had their own blend. Oh, nice. And the locale matched the brewing. And then Jose says, got to use water from Thailand with the beans you get from Thailand over the summer. Are you in Thailand? Is that where you are, Jose? Anton says, there's a nice water guide by Robert Asami called What Are You Doing? Water guide. What are you doing? I was just buying books yesterday, so I should buy some more. Or here's interesting. Like, I gotta call my library. There was a book that I was interested in my library. I was like, they have this suggestion of books to buy. Like, so I sent them a series, and they're like, we're gonna buy it for you. I was like, really? That's awesome. But I haven't heard if they received it yet. What are you doing? What are you? Asami. An Intro to Water for Coffee, Robert Asami. Have you read the other one, the Big Water book? Oh, is this a book or is this just a website? Here's the page. Your brews are better with a $200 grinder. How about just a $50 grinder and taking control of your water than with a $2,000 grinder with questionable water? But water is just so unsexy, only if you're like part of the if you're only part of the unwashed masses. Or is this, this is the entire thing. Okay, I'll have to read that. Thank you for that. I will look that up. Just a website, but you might find all this. Okay, good. I will read that. No worries. All right. So there's a little bit about scales for you to consider. Don't know if it helps. Just babbling on about this PM12. You can buy something like this PM1200. I think it's kind of cool. If you buy it used, don't buy it new, for God's sake. I mean, if you really want to buy the new one. I mean, if you look at the pictures online, like if you go to Mettler's website, or even A&B's website, or even any of the laboratory scale manufacturers. And let's say you see something and you're so moved by it, you're like, I gotta have that, and you wanna buy it. Okay, go ahead, buy it, why not? Like I still have this penchant, I wanna buy this grinder. Like there's this grinder that I've been wanting to buy for like 10 years now. And I'm like, it's like $16,000. But I'm like, so I've never really had a reason to do it. Like I almost pulled the trigger like in 2018. When we were building the Cafe de Spro, and I was like, I should buy that. It's a Japanese grinder called Inoya, and I think the guys from one of the manufacturers in America got mad or got irritated because I was at the SCA one year and I was looking at the grinders, and they do these process roll grinders, right? So there's roller grinders that are more used for industrial use, but they're very consistent in their fineness. So like when you talk about commercial coffees, Folgers, Maxwell House, all that, these guys are using huge roller grinders and they're able to grind and that's why if you ever open up a box or a bundle or whatever of the commercial stuff, like it's really beautifully ground. Like if you like, forget the coffee, just look at the grind. It's like, whoa, that is really well done. That's because they use these huge roller grinders. And this one company out of Chicago makes roller grinders, and they were like, this is the smallest roller grinder in the world. It was kind of massive. And I was like, actually, there's a smaller one. Then the rep was like, what do you mean? It's like, there's a company in Japan that makes a tabletop. Oh, yeah, so that's the smallest one. $16,000. Company called Inoue. So anyway, forget all that. That's enough. That's enough. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will probably not have a live stream on Friday because I'm supposed to make the drive down to Raleigh, North Carolina for a birthday party over the weekend. But we'll see. We'll see. But that just lets you know, and it all depends what happens with the weather here. People say that we're going to have big storms on Friday, so who knows what's going to happen. But good to y'all. We thank you very much for tuning in. Back again tomorrow with another episode of the Coffee Q&A. So hope you have a wonderful day out there, and see you next time. Ooh, gentle rain is nice.